So it seems that SARS-CoV-2 is not the only thing that could be affecting your health in this pandemic. So listen up, because this could really be affecting you. Hi everyone, my name is Tatiana and this is the Flute Practice, a space that helps guide and motivate flutists like you on their journey. As much as I have tried to not make any direct videos related to coronavirus, and I'm so tired of that word, this is something that I've seen come up with some of my colleagues, with some of my students, and actually even with myself. Now, there are two things I just want to mention before we dive into this. Number one, most of what I'm about to speak about can be prevented. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give us some really concrete ideas on how we can do this. Number two, if you are or have already experienced this problem, I want you to understand that there is no shame in this at all. This video is coming from the perspective of many people who don't even know that this is a reality or a danger. If you have experienced this, I want you to carry on watching though, because at the end of this video, I'm going to not only give you some tips to help you prevent it in future, but also some little tips on what you can do. Now guys, you're probably expecting me to speak about, I don't know, the symptoms of the coronavirus or how to disinfect your instruments. Alcohol swab, it'll be fine. But today's topic is slightly different to that and maybe quite unexpected. Because the real issue here today is your increase in time and your increase in stress levels. And I'm going to show how these factors could be contributing towards you getting a so-called playing-related problem. That's a fancy word for any kind of pain, numbness, tingling, or injury you get from playing your instrument. I know, right? Like nobody ever told you about this when you went into music. Like, what? Playing an instrument can be dangerous? What? Now, a lot of you are going to like click away from this video at this point and you're going to be like, oh, well, this doesn't relate to me. I've never had problems, or I'll never have problems. But this does relate to you, and here's why. Research has shown that up to 80 or even 90% of musicians are affected by some kind of musculoskeletal problem related to playing their instruments. And before you amateur musicians are like, well, I mean, I don't play music professionally, so I'm fine. One particular study showed that 67.8% of the amateur musicians that they surveyed had some kind of a problem. So you should care, and this probably very well might affect you. Nobody is exempt from it. I have experienced this several times. Not even I'm exempt from this. I frequently get asked, what kind of injuries can this cause? Well, this can range from neck and back problems, shoulder problems of various kinds. You could get problems in your hands, your wrists, your elbow. Some of the common kind of words that fly around are tendinitis, so inflammation of the tendon, that's quite a common one. Also some nerve issues, like pinched nerves are the kind of common term for it. I think the really scary thing about this is that they see in research that sort of around 40% or more of these problems are severe problems. Severe enough to really either prevent them from playing as much as they used to, or actually stop them from playing altogether. So before you click away, do yourself and your body a favor and listen up. So how does this tie in with COVID-19? You're like, this is clickbait. Did I just click on something and now I'm getting a whole spiel about musicians' injuries? No, wait a moment. Before we get into how this exactly relates to COVID-19, it's just going to help to understand some of the causes of playing-related problems. Some causes are things that you just cannot control, but there are some things that we can and absolutely should control. Things like our practice habits, looking at how we use our body, our basic playing technique and posture, doing any kind of physical warm-ups or warming up before we play, how much exercise we do, what type of exercise we do. And some of those factors have been severely influenced by this COVID-19 pandemic. So this is where it gets super interesting. One of the factors that has been shown to really increase your chances of getting injured is a sudden increase in playing time. So where you go from having played maybe 30 minutes, an hour a day, to suddenly playing several hours a day. And I believe this is exactly what has been happening in the last couple of weeks. Many of us, we suddenly found ourselves with a whole lot more time than we have ever had in our lives. I know there are a group of us that are working. There are some of us that are even healthcare workers. We're working really, really, really hard. But for the majority of people, you've been sitting at home in isolation, maybe able to walk your dog, maybe not. My dog is literally whining down here. She really wants a walk.
You want to go walkie? Oh, yeah.
And we decided, hey, let's use this time to not just bake and do our fun arts projects, but also to practice. And you suddenly are practicing, maybe 2 to 3 hours, where previously you were practicing maybe 30 minutes to an hour, if you even had that much time. Some of us might have even started playing the flute again after, I don't know, a long break, or maybe for the first time ever. And we suddenly have all this time to practice and play, and we think, okay, if I just practice enough and I put in enough hours and I do enough, I will get better and I will get good. Yes, but also no. And I'm going to get to that a little bit more at the end of this video. But right now I want you just to understand, suddenly increasing your playing time is dangerous and it could cause an injury. It is something that I've seen happening. It's something that I myself have had to be very careful of and be aware of. So the other side of this whole pandemic, as wonderful and as luxurious as having oodles of time sounds, is that we are all suffering from increased stress levels. And this is one of the other interesting things. So another risk factor to getting an injury is, in fact, stress, high levels of stress. And whether you're super busy or really have nothing to do, the reality is that every single one of us is dealing with some level of stress. This could just be kind of a baseline anxiety about the situation, where things are going to go, where your country's going to go, economy, all of that. This could be more severe. It could be really grieving. Maybe you are grieving, the fact that you cannot go outside or be amongst your usual family and friends. Perhaps you are grieving financial loss. Perhaps you are even grieving personal loss of a loved one. There is a lot of anxiety and stress and loss and grief going on right now. And I think we would be foolish to think this will not affect our bodies in some sort of a way. I can tell you that every time our president made a big announcement about the lockdown, like lockdown's extended, or, you can't walk your dogs, which is real in this country. Poor Roxy, she just wants to go for a walk. I've woken up the next day with this incredible back pain and headache. This is my body reacting to the stress of this. And even though my work by large is carried on, I haven't been impacted too much. There is just a certain level of stress and anxiety that goes with this time, and that is okay, but we have to be aware of it. And so what happens is we get stressed. That usually goes into especially our kind of neck and back and shoulders, and everything just kind of tenses up. Our kind of basic posture becomes this rather than open and free. And that added tension and added kind of anxiety can really impact whether or not you get hurt, especially if you have now increased your practice time suddenly, and especially if you're already perhaps playing with not such great playing technique and posture. And this is another big risk factor, is how we are playing our instruments. If we have got unnatural and very tense, tight hand positions or posture or kind of embouchures, there is an increased risk of developing some sort of problem or injury. It just is. So be aware that the way you play your instrument, compounded with the amount of time you suddenly might be practicing and the stress, is a recipe for disaster. Okay guys, it feels heavy, I know. And some of you might be like, oh great, so now you're telling me I can't even practice anymore. Like I can't go outside, I can't go to work, I can't do anything, I can't even practice. And that is not what I'm telling you, because we need to have a chat about this. It's not so much about whether or not you practice or even how much you practice. It's about how you practice in that time. So often we think flute playing and flute technique is just about having really fast fingers. Like if my fingers can be really fast, then I will be good. But flute playing is so much more than that. Flute playing is about sound, it's about breathing, it's about intonation, it's about articulation, about vibrato. The list kind of goes on and on and on and on and on. There is so much more to flute playing than just playing really fast and getting yourself into this like kind of crazy space of wanting to be better and get better. Yeah, we all want to improve, but guess what? You will improve. So just calm down. In fact, I'm going to go as far as to say that if you apply some of the things we're about to do now, you're going to actually get better faster. Okay, so here is what you can and what I think you should do. First of all, make sure you practice with lots of little breaks. Take breaks in your practice. If there's one thing that I could just hammer into your head today, then it's take breaks. I take them like every 20 to 25 minutes, just a 5-minute break, go outside, walk in the sun a little bit, then come back. Make your mind fresh, enter that practice room, ready to go. Number 2, if you're going to increase your playing time, do it slowly. Just consider stepping it up maybe over a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, maybe a couple of minutes every day. This is kind of what experts recommend, somewhere between 10 to 15%. Every day a little bit more. Don't just suddenly launch into a 3-hour practice session. You're going to hurt yourself. Mix up your practice. This is so important. You know, sometimes it's not so much about practicing less. Sometimes it's about having like bouts of more intensive practice and then bouts of more calm, relaxed, easy practice. So for example, maybe you want to do like 25 minutes of hectic technical work and then just spend another 25 minutes of doing beautiful, slow, calm breathing and tone work. That might be a nice balance to do. Why not use some of your practice time to just listen? Listen to beautiful music. Listen to flute music or other music. Just spend some time listening and you'll be amazed how much you learn and how much information you receive from just listening to other really amazing players. Perhaps you want to take your piece that you're busy playing and listen to 5 to 10 different recordings of it and compare them and listen and, you know, mark breaths and all that kind of stuff. That's a really fun and useful thing to do. Also, why not consider using this time, really using this time to work on your body posture, on your hands, on just general body alignment, body balance, and all of that stuff. I recently did a video on exactly that, finding balance in your body. So I'm going to link you guys to that. And if this is your first contact with this, then enjoy this experience because it is amazing. A really useful tip that honestly I don't even use enough is why not do some sort of physical gentle warm-ups before you play? They have shown in studies that this really helps prevent injuries. So if you really want to do your body a favor, then do some nice gentle warm-ups. I actually did a video on this in my really early days, although I think I could definitely do another video on this. So I'm going to put that video in the description, but I think it's probably time for a new one. Doing exercise is something that has been shown to really decrease the rates of injury, at least in theory. The issue here is that certain types of exercise could actually increase your chances of getting hurt. So don't do anything that is going to put a lot of impact, especially on your upper body. Things like going for a run, swimming is great if your pool is not like the Arctic Circle like mine is. Go swim. Just keep your body in shape, basically. It'll go a long way. Deal with your stress. I'm serious, deal with it. Do not try and shove it in a box and ignore it. Deal with it. If you need to speak to family or friends, if you need just to find some quiet time and process like that, go for a walk if you can. If you need to go and speak to somebody professionally, you can do that online these days. You could Skype in with somebody or Zoom in with somebody, but deal with it. Don't ignore the effects of stress and anxiety on your body. Make sure that your instrument is not adding to that stress. Please, do not be putting this unnecessary pressure on yourself to somehow become this virtuoso player in this time because you suddenly have this time and you should be using this time and why are you not using this time? Guys, just calm down. And this is really my last point today. Breathe. I'm serious. Just breathe. There is so much crazy going on in this world right now. There is so much madness. I watched this video the other day. It was like a humorous video, but it had a really deep message in the end. And basically this chick was chatting to her rather drunk self in the mirror, which, okay, out of context, this video sounds really random. But in the end, this rather inebriated version of herself was telling her that actually she doesn't have to do so much. She doesn't have to try so hard. She doesn't have to do anything special in this time. You being healthy, or in some cases perhaps overcoming this virus, is actually all we need you to do right now. So if you're doing that, you're doing what you're supposed to do. For any of you who have or are already experiencing any problems, I want to just say, please do your best to get some kind of help. I know times are challenging right now. It's difficult to get the medical attention that you need, but that is always your first point of call, trying to get some kind of medical attention. Definitely, if you're experiencing pain, stop playing, take a break until the symptoms subside, and then go back to it carefully. This video is not meant to scare you. This video is meant to help us find another better way. And I believe we can find a better way, but it is a journey and it is a process. So if this is a process and a journey that you need help with, then please do make contact. There are various ways you can contact me, or maybe reach out to somebody else in the community that could be helped. There are great players out there who are very experienced in body work and finding kind of ease in your playing. So I really encourage you to reach out and find someone like that in this time. In the meantime, you can share this video and really help other musicians in this time to learn to prevent possibly getting injured. Happy practicing, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you soon.